I'm very happy to be here and to have this honor to introduce to you first the person who absolutely needs no introduction, our keynote speaker for our morning session. Even though he doesn't need an introduction, I don't want to go through his life, his legacy. Just allow me to say a few words, and I probably start to borrow Albert Einstein's, "The world is a dangerous place to live in, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who do nothing about it." It's truly a privilege to bring you the man that I consider who refused to be silenced, became the brave and brilliant voice for many of us. The voice that I believe shook the very foundation of PFDJ not too many intellectuals dare to touch. His intellect, integrity, been dedicated to serve, to break the backbone of political evil in Eritrea. Let me echo, maybe a little louder, what Martin Luther King's phrase, that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. That's where I see Dr. Bereket. It will take me a very long time to go through his bio, and I don't want to do that, and you can read, and most of you already know that. But what I wanted to highlight is that this is really a wonderful time, and I want to thank you for it's almost half a century of service, a superior public service. And it's really a privilege, and bring to you Dr. Bereket.
With friends like that, you cannot go any wrong. But Ngasom's introduction has put me on a pedestal. I hope I will not fall from that pedestal. It's always the hazard of being put on a pedestal. I thank him for his very generous words. I don't know whether I deserve all of that. I certainly have been a very controversial figure, which is one way of putting people who revolt or raise their voices in protest against injustice. For that, I'm grateful, and for that, I'm also grateful that God has given me enough years to stand before you here. There's a very interesting story of an Ethiopian scholar by the name of Afwerk ገብረኢየሱስ ዘብሔረ who was the first novelist who wrote, for those of you who know Amharic, Topiao, first novel in Amharic. He was sent to Italy by Emperor Menelik, and he became a distinguished scholar. And he even gave lessons in the University of Napoli. when the Italians invaded Ethiopia, they made him After Caesar, which is Chief Justice of the Caesar, of the Romans, because of his education, because of his prominence. And when the Italians were defeated and Emperor Haile Selassie government was restored, he was prosecuted for treason, for having collaborated with the enemy. At that time, he was over 70. I think he was 76 or 77. When he was asked to plead guilty or not guilty, he kept silent, just smiled, but told the judges, የእናንተ ሕግ እኔን አይመለከትም. Your law doesn't apply to me. They were intrigued, but in the end, when they came to give judgment, they gave him a chance to defend himself, and he said, I don't have to defend myself. According to tradition and the Fetha Negest, the Ethiopian law, man's life is 70, which is 70. And the king's law applies to him only. If he's past that, he is under the law of God, not the law of man. The judges were intrigued, confused, but ultimately because they had more integrity in those days than later, he released him. He was released and died of old age. I have reached the age that Horgorius had reached when he spoke that. Therefore, man's law doesn't apply to me. Including perhaps the kind of law that Siyum Tfaye and Taghlai and Jonas will seek to apply when they go back to Ethiopia, to Eritrea. But I'm very grateful, thankful that I've reached this age when I can struggle not only with my generation, but with those whom I consider my sons and grandsons. Amaniel Iyasu is young enough to be my grandson. I'm older than I look, you see. It's a privilege to be standing side by side with people like Amaniel and Jonas. Siyum is a little older, so I will not count him among one of those. He could be my son, but not my grandson. Now, in the program that was sent to me 2 weeks ago, which is when I was asked to be a keynote speaker, I don't have an axe to grind on that, but I do want to put on the record that I was invited only 2 weeks ago. And in the first program, the time allocated to me was 15 minutes, from 10 to 10:15. Therefore, I'm not going to present a written speech, a text, as I did 2 years ago. A, because of the time limitation, and B, also because I consider that the issues that I will highlight today have been spoken about, written about extensively by many, some of them by many of you. And Siyum did a brilliant job in articulating some of the issues that I was going to think about, so I will not repeat them. Instead of presenting to you a formal written text, therefore, I'm going to highlight some of the, what I consider to be crucial issues facing our nation, and what is to be done about them. Before I do that, let me just say that a few days ago, I received an outstanding piece of writing, a document titled Hadish Widat Harnat, The New Birth of Freedom, written by Eritrean youth of the generation. It was prepared under the auspices of the Department of Information and Education, ብክፍሊ ሓበሬታን ትምህርትን ዓለም ለኻዊ ምንቅስቃስ መንእስያት ኤርትራ ተዳለወ prepared by the Department of Education and Information of the, what is the English of your name?